I have student loans that total just over $1 million.
You're kidding me.
And no, sir.
What were you thinking?
Well, I wasn't thinking clearly. I've sat down and calculated my interest rates, and my interest is about $5,800 a month. So my fiance and we're trying to decide what's the best way to try to attack this.
When are you getting married?
April.
Okay. And what will you be making as an orthodontist?
About $250.
Okay. And what does she do, and what will she be making?
We actually just opened up an office, and she works in the office, so she's not taking any income out of the office.
Okay. This is such an extreme situation. Your income is extreme, and your debt is extreme, that you have to be very, very careful to just act like you're a broke college student because you are a broke orthodontist.
Right.
And so that means you guys aren't going on vacations. You're not buying a house. You're not leasing a new BMW. You're not going to a restaurant. You have $1 million. I can't even say it out loud. I can't breathe. $1 million in student loan debt. It gives me an anxiety attack, and it's not even my debt. But the horrible news is that ridiculous figure. The wonderful news is you have great income potential and a great income right now. So you cannot relax.
Right. So
you have to cut as deeply as you can cut.
Right.
And so be dialing your taxes in. I don't want you to get behind on taxes, but other than taxes and food and water and electricity, I really want everything else just going on student loan debt. The good news is you've got a great shovel, and you have a great, bright future with your income potential. And, that gets you out of this. It's not a reason to get into it, but it does get you out of it. It gives you hope for your future.
I don't know why anyone would take out student loans. You could just go into a trade. I'm in the trades. I got a house. I got a truck. I don't got any student loans. My dude, you are working 80 hours a week, and you are literally always experiencing pain. You are not winning. We are all losing. What are you going to do if you get hurt at work tomorrow? Are you under the impression that disability is going to pay for your car note and your mortgage? Do you think that you're going to get enough disability to continue living life the way you have been? Because you won't. No one should have to work 40 hours a week in today's day and age. There's no reason, let alone 60 to 80 hours a week, breaking your body for not enough money, I guarantee you. Sure, you might not have student loans, but you are paying with your physical body and your time. So yeah, a lot of us are saddled with student debt and will be working forever to try to pay it off. You are also saddled with the debt of being alive in America. You will be working until you die, but the thing is, in the trades, you will probably statistically die sooner and in a far greater degree of pain than anyone else.
I want to talk about student loans real quick because I just found out something that is so frustrating. This is my current student loan balance, $21,444. My original amount was $28,500. So you can see I've already paid off around $7,000 worth of my student loans, which yes, I am really proud of. But I felt like I was doing everything correctly, and today I called up my student loan servicer, Ed Financial, and I said, hey, I just want to make sure that my overage that I am paying every month, because the amount that they quoted me that I should be paying towards my student loans every month is $250. At least somewhere around there. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to pay $500 a month. I'm going to double it and pay $500 a month, so I'm paying off that principal faster. And while, yes, I'm paying off that principal a little bit faster, the lady that I spoke with on the phone told me that I can't actually choose where that payment goes. So even though I'm paying $250 extra, I can't say, put that amount towards my principal. And the reason being that these numbers that they set saying, here, this is the suggested amount that we think that you should pay towards your student loan is usually only really covering the bare minimum. And the reason that they do this is so that you're still accruing interest. And if you have unpaid interest because you're paying so low on your loans, that interest will then start accruing interest. And even though you're making these payments, your loan amount is going to keep going up because the interest accrues interest, and it's just a never-ending cycle. So I went in and looked, and you can see here, this is my last payment. I paid $500. $318 of that went towards my principal. Around $181 went towards my interest. And if you can see here, back in October, I paid $223 in interest, which is only $25 less than my payment. And so I asked her on the phone, I said, hey, what's going on with that? And she said, you actually have unpaid interest. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. But I didn't realize my interest was accruing interest because I have these unsubsidized loans. So even though I graduated in 2020, right into a forbearance period, this still had interest from when I was in college. So I said, okay, great. That's definitely my bad. I didn't really realize that. But can I pay that unpaid interest now so that it stops accruing more interest? And she said, actually, no. Just like the fact that you can't go in and say, put this money towards my principal, you also can't go in and say, okay, put this money towards my unpaid interest. So even though today I have $229 of unpaid interest, I can't say, here, Ed Financial, here's $229 to cover that unpaid interest. So that unpaid interest will continue accruing interest until my loans are completely paid off. And this is the root of the entire problem right here. It is my money. It is my loan. I should be able to say where it goes. Obviously within reason. I understand it's a loan. I understand it's accruing interest. But if I have unpaid interest, I should be able to say, here is the money. Please pay the interest. Or just be transparent with me about where my money is going, what is supposed to be paid, and how to pay it.
Now that Trump is really on our asses about paying off our student loan debt, I actually just found out how much my student loan really is. Whoa. I don't know how you guys who have like student loan debt from undergrad, graduate school, etc. are doing it, but I would have been on OnlyFans if not for the fact that I'm a very public facing person, because what the helly on tay? No, on God, like I'm sitting here like, you know what? That little $400 I pay every month to have healthcare, we might have to cut that off, because at this point, let me just die. Let me just have a disease that actually kills me so that I don't, like, at least I can die with my debt. Like, at this point, what is the point of having healthcare and student loan debt? What is actually the point? No, someone tell me, what is actually the point? Therapy sessions, them $200 therapy sessions, yeah, gotta go. Because right now, I'm about to be in therapy complaining about student loans. I'm already in therapy complaining about relationships. No, I can't even afford to talk to my therapist no more, bitch. Something has to give. She messaged me talking about something. You haven't done a session in so long. Is everything okay? No, bitch. Everything is not okay, and I can't afford to tell you why.
What's up, TikTok? So, y'all, let me be honest with y'all. Y'all know that the government released a statement talking about student loans. You need to get your student loans together, start paying them back. They're going to garnish wages and all that. All right, let me keep it a buck with you, okay? The government was never going to see their money, okay? Because at this point, y'all done made me accrue so much interest. I'll never pay the bitch back, okay? So trying to pay my loans off is not in my future, okay? The loans are going to be with me until the day the casket drops, okay? So trying to pay them off is not even a goal for me, unless y'all get me to 10,000 followers. And then I could make some side income, okay? And then I could clear off the whole debt. But whatever, it is what it is. So I called Mohela, who gives a hell, okay? So I called them, and I'm like, look, okay, what I got to do? Because one thing I'm not going to let y'all do is take my money out my check. Okay? So, yeah, they wanted me to pay $850 a month. So, yeah, it's past due. Because $850 a month ain't got it. If I had it, I wasn't giving it. Okay? Because I don't know where y'all got y'all calculations from to make y'all think I can afford another $850 after all the bills I pay. Okay, so anyway, called them. First of all, you could tell the man was in his crib, fine, work from home, whatever. He sneezing, he coughing all on the phone, ain't saying excuse me, doing all I said. But I said to myself, let me be nice to him, because sometimes customer service reps, if you give them attitude, it's more trouble than it's worth. So I was very kind. I wanted to say, homeboy, mute yourself, but I ain't go there. So anyway, make a long story short, all right, they got cleared off my past due, just put me in forbearance until July 27th, when I start making regular payments. So when he told me how much, I said, sir, come on. Be real. I'm not paying $850. So they got my payments down to a reasonable amount that's affordable in 2025 with the way the economy is set up. Okay? I don't want to pay him in July, but I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to do the right thing. So yeah, so my payments, I had a administrative forbearance just to clear off the past due. So that's off of there. And then I got to start making monthly payments July 27th. Whatever. And trust me, I'm paying them before July 27th. But, excuse me, that's what he should have said on the phone. But I got to turn in my paperwork. So that's just giving me time to turn in my paperwork. Once my paperwork is turned in and they tell me I'm good to go, I'm going to start paying. I'm not waiting until July. But yeah. So, I mean, in 2025 at this point, we got to have 3 or 4 jobs. God is good though, because there's some people who are getting eviction notices and getting lights cut off and getting phones cut off. So I just got to be grateful. All right. And stay focused on the positive. So if you got loans out there and you know what I'm saying, you trying to ignore it, acting like there's nothing they going to do. And then sometimes your employer charges you a fee because they don't like having to deal with the garnishing of wages. Okay. Which I will never let that be me. But I'm just telling y'all, don't ignore the shit. Handle your business. Call them people. Okay. Because for real, everybody just as confused as we are. They don't know what's going on. Every day is something new. But they trying to work with y'all. So give them something to work with. So that's my spiel. But like I said, somebody in my comments said they're going to have to start selling some undergarments. I'm going to have to do some feet videos, undergarments, something. Okay? Because it's getting real out here. Y'all have a blessed.
Not me entering my final stage of full-blown crash out. I'm literally crashing out. I was so excited for tonight. Oh my God, I'm so worked up. I was going to get dressed up. I mean, I still am. I'm definitely getting a martini now. Last week, I fucking hate student loans. Last month, I set up auto pay because I don't want to forget. I don't like being late. You could never get on the phone with these stupid student loan people. And I log on today because I have to get my fucking tax documents. Fuck my life. Life never ends. I'm like, oh my God, it says my payment's late. And I'm like, how does that even make sense? I set up auto pay last month with my card and my bank and all the stupid information. And then I call them today and they're like, it's going to be a 3-hour and 50-minute wait time. And then I'm trying to have dad help me. And I'm like, what did you guys have me set up auto pay for that if my payments are now late? And I'm like, I'm not crashing out over Mahila. You're ugly. I don't have time for this. I'm crying over a fucking stupid student loan.
Look here, man. I got a question, and I'm laughing, but very serious. Are we still caring about credit scores? Are we still caring about credit scores? I'm trying to ascertain. What you need a credit score for anyway? To buy a house? Buy a car? I bought a house a couple years ago. I ain't finna buy down nothing. They gonna find my remains in this house. You see what I'm saying? And if this car give out, I'm gonna push my feet through the floorboard, Fred Flintstone this hoe. So I'm just trying to figure out these student loans, however, it's above me now. Hey, it's above me now. Cause I'm also tired of being the only one paying taxes around this hoe. Billionaires ain't paying nothing. They taxing the hell out my little check. Listen, I got to get it back in blood somehow, some way. Somehow, some way. Somehow, some way. This got to even out. So if I got to pay taxes, these little debts, I'm liable to run up a tab and leave this bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I owe $303,000 for student loans. The average interest rate is 6%. Interest that had accrued before COVID was already $26,000. So I'm gonna go through things that I could buy for $300K instead of student loans. Okay, I could buy this Maserati for $309. That's pretty much breaking even. I could also get this Birkin bag. It's a little bit over at $325,000, but I could make it work. There's also this really intense shredder for $300K that you could be useful. You could also go on a yacht vacation for 2 weeks, coming in at roughly like 200K euro, and then I gotta tip the staff, you know. I could also live in Indiana and have a nice 3-bedroom home instead of paying my loans. It also now costs $300K to raise a kid, so should I just have one instead of 2? And a rhino horn costs $300K, which apparently cures cancer, so now I'm really screwed.
Okay, I actually need TikTok to vent for a second. If you're a lawyer or anyone really who has graduate student loans and like didn't have any help when they went to law school or medical school and all that, how are you guys feeling right now? Because I feel like my entire life I've done everything right, per se. Like I've went to college, I went to law school, I worked my ass off. I'm still working my ass off, and honestly, part of me is like, why did I do this to myself, you know? But with all of that, I have student loans, and in order to pay them off and not have an insane amount of interest, you have to pay a shit ton off a month, right? But in this economy and with the types of jobs available, it's like hard to do both, you know? It's almost as if, should I just for the next 20 years not buy a home, not have a family, and pay off my student loans? Or should I live my life, pay off what I can, be a mom, have kids, get a house, and obviously over time I'm gonna have to pay a hell of a lot more? I don't even know. And then there's the whole, I used to have like a payment plan, but now all of that's paused because of the new administration. No one really knows what's going on. It just kind of feels like a mess. And I don't know, like I just feel like there's no winning in life. Like there's no winning. I am like very pessimistic and depressed right now, honestly. If anyone else is going through this, let me know your thoughts, because I like need to talk to people about this.
I was just sitting here contemplating about like how I'm going to pay back all my student loans, because still have not devised a plan that's going to work for me yet. Because I was thinking, you know how like there's the save plan, it's like the income-based repayment plan or whatever. So I signed up for that with my old job, not the one I have now, but with my old job, based on my income that I had then, my payment was going to be like $40 a month, which I was like, hell yeah, now I can actually like afford to pay on this for the rest of my life. Like it'll be fine. Then I realized like that's not even going to cut into like the interest that this shit's going to accrue. So like, are they just trying to keep this over my head for the rest of my life? Like why not just give me a job that can pay me enough to pay this? You know, like, why do we have to have all these save plans and income-based tuition repayment? Like, just make college cheaper. Like, why do we have to come up with all these government-funded programs that cut into tax dollars and that's going to keep me in debt for the rest of my life? Like, that doesn't sound like a good solution to me. But, like, either pay more or make college cheaper. It's pretty fucking simple.
Over 10 years out of college and I don't use my degree. I'm still paying off my loans in public health and biology. And now I sing in NYC. No one ever said it'd be easy, but even when I'm stuck, I'm never giving up. My breakthrough, it's coming. Until then, I'll go audition, memorize songs and lines each week. Try to make my music in between. Feels like I work for free and I'm living off of all of my savings. I refuse to have a plan B, so I just sing my songs and I continue on till I fulfill my dream.
Okay, so I know that people say go to school for what you're passionate about, and I did that. Right out of high school, I went to college for criminal justice, and upon realizing that degree does nothing for me, anytime I ask somebody how did they get to where they are in this field, they just said they applied. I asked, do they have a degree? They tell me no. Because most of the stuff in that field you're going to learn while on the job training. So I'm getting a degree in criminal justice just because they say they want a degree. Now, mind you, most of the stuff that at least I plan on pursuing with my degree is not the most money in the world. And of course, I'm working to like my job and to get money. But not realizing that in this economy, thank goodness for free will, that I plan on doing sterile processing tech. Why? This just came out of nowhere. Why again? Because I want to. Because why the hell not?
All that work and what did it get me?
This is for all the millennials that went to college and got a degree. I'm gonna hold your hand and say it's okay to not use that degree. And it's also okay to pivot and do something else. And I'm holding your hand because I'm sure that there are people in your life that make you feel terrible about either A, not using your degree, or 2, even entertaining the idea of not using your degree. You know, like those really awkward conversations of wanting to say, I think I want to do something else. And somebody's like, why would you want to do something else? You wasted so much time getting that degree. You just wasted your time. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? There's absolutely no way that you can ever do anything else. Maybe I'm being a little dramatic, but some of the conversations really be like that. Literally, you don't need anybody else's permission to not use your degree and do something completely different. You did not waste your time, and instead you acquired a certain amount of skills in school that are going to catapult you and help you and support you into your next adventure. Because at the end of everything, it is your life, and if you decide to listen to everybody else and not take a risk and go in a completely different direction because you want to, no one else is going to suffer the consequences but you. And this doesn't apply to everybody. There are tons of millennials that love their careers and are using their degrees to do exactly what they went to school for, and that's chef's kiss. I am so happy for you. But for other millennials that are like, I want to pivot, that's fine too. Do it. No risk, no reward.
This is the greatest piece of career advice you will ever get. Now, I was very lucky to get this very early in my career. I don't know what stage of your career you're at, but better late than never. Name of the game is pleasantly persistent. I had a recruiter teach me during college when I was first looking for jobs. She said, the most important thing that you can learn is how to follow up on emails that no one has ever responded to. She said, if you can master that skill, you can have anything in this life, because everything comes down to being pleasantly persistent. If you reach out to someone for an opportunity and they don't get back to you, you should be in their inbox every single week. If they reject you and you still want that opportunity, you should be in their inbox every 6 months. That is how you get what you want. She taught me that people are busy. This is so true because I take, for example, people who have reached out to me about certain things, and I'm like, I say yes, and then I'm like, I forget, like I just get busy. And if they DM me again, I'm like, oh, right, here you go. Here's that thing you wanted, or here's that link, or here's a voice note for your sister's baby, or whatever. But they have to be pleasantly persistent. And I had to be pleasantly persistent to get all of my jobs. And I remember so clearly when I wanted to move to New York for advertising, every day was like sitting down, and I remember thinking like, buzz, me again, bitch, like me in your inbox to every recruiter at every agency, until they finally broke down and gave me a job because they wanted me to leave them alone. That is how the world works. When I then got agency jobs and different vendors would reach out to me and they'd be like, please, can I come in and show my photography to your team? I'd just be like, I didn't respond to these, okay? By the 45th time, they were like, can I bring you donuts and bring in my book? I'd be like, sure. And then that guy gets to come in. Sure. And then that guy gets to come in. None of the other guys get to come in. It doesn't matter how good their book is. It doesn't matter how good their photography is. That's not what I was choosing on. I was choosing on who is in the top of my inbox, who is right in my face right when I have a moment free time. That's you. Guess what? The doors fling wide open. The doors of the whole goddamn universe. It's not just about asking people for things. Be pleasantly persistent in your businesses. Be pleasantly persistent in your content. Be pleasantly persistent. And what I mean by pleasantly persistent is don't be those people. I have had people follow up with me in ways that are so aggressive and ridiculous that it actually makes me think I will never do business with that person. I remember so clearly, and honestly, it was kind of funny, but it was so out of pocket. Someone wanted something from me on LinkedIn, and they were on their 45th follow-up, and they said, Chelsea, I don't know whether your parents got really sick or whether you fell down the stairs. But at this point, one of those must be true, otherwise you would have responded to me. I blocked him. That's because he wasn't pleasantly persistent, okay? He was unpleasantly persistent. Big difference there. Whatever your dreams are, whatever your goals are, you need to be pleasantly persistent. Okay?
I recently posted about how I had $220,000 forgiven by the government for my student loans. I'm very grateful for that. I will be starting a new series where I explain the process and the rules on how to qualify for that program. In the meantime, I still have private student loans for my graduate school. So let's make a payment to that today.
These are my private student loans that are at about $43,000 right now. It started at about $90,000, and I've been paying the standard payment at $975.90. The interest rate on these loans are about 8%. I called the student loan servicer to ask when would these be paid off by at that amount, and they said September 2029. So I've decided to bump up the payment to $1,000 to speed up the process because the interest rate is one of the higher ones on all my debt that I have.
Last night I had to log into my student loan account to print out the paperwork to have my taxes done today. So I got to get a glimpse of my student loan balance for the first time in, I don't know, presumably a year. I honestly don't remember knowing what I owed still. Now, for point of reference, I graduated in 2011. Okay, so I've been making student loan payments for almost 14 years. I actually did the math. It was about 165 monthly student loan payments that I've made so far. Okay, now I went to pharmacy school. I'm a pharmacist. That's a doctorate degree. It took 6 years. I went to a private school, not because I wanted to, but at the time, there were only 6 schools in the state of Pennsylvania with a pharmacy program. 2 of them were state schools, 4 of them were private. Chose the school I chose because they gave me a $12,000 a year academic scholarship for the first 4 years. So I got $48,000 worth of academic scholarship. So that's why I chose that school. So my education, even with the scholarship, cost still like $250,000, roughly. Now, I'm fortunate. My parents paid for a really good chunk of that, over $100,000. I don't remember the exact numbers, honestly, of how it all washed out. But I do know when I got my first student loan bill in the mail, well, I almost shit a brick, but my balance was like right around $125,000. Okay, 165 monthly payments on $125,000. How much do you think I still owe? $78,000. Yeah, I don't know. The math isn't mathing. Now, full disclosure, I did refinance at some point, which is a horrible idea. Like at the time, it seems like a good idea because the monthly payments are so like overwhelming, but in the long run, you're screwing yourself when you refinance a student loan. You just are. So 165 monthly payments. I never deferred it. I never missed a payment. And I still owe $78,000. And I've been out of school for 14 years. My oldest turns 10 next week. So realistically, if she decides to go to college, I'm going to be still paying my student loans and likely still owe like $30-some thousand on my student loans when I'm trying to figure out how to pay for her college. And I don't know what the solution is to this whole situation. I don't think loan forgiveness is fair. I don't think taxpayers who didn't go to college should have to have their tax money pay off the student loans for those who did choose to go to college. I don't think that's fair at all. But I do think something needs to be done because universities are charging like obscene tuition. Student loan companies are doing predatory lending to children and setting up people for like a lifetime of debt. Like you're starting out your adult life with like crippling debt. And I don't know what the solution is here, but something isn't working.
So yeah, I made a video about me owing student loans, right? I owe about $150,000 in student loans. I got 2 degrees. I got a bachelor's in biology and I got a master's in secondary education with an endorsement in clinical mental health counseling, right? I said, so y'all mean to tell me y'all gonna garnish my check? I'm trolling, right? I made that video last night. I never knew it was so many negative people that would comment on that video. I feel like my video reached the wrong side of TikTok. Like, just laugh. I'm not mad about it. I haven't paid these years in over 4 years. After I graduated in 2021. You think I'm worried about it now? If they get it, they get it. Don't. I ain't working in my degree because I put my kids first. I got a job that's going to accommodate my kids' schedule. But I was trolling. I thought it was funny. Like, I'm not mad about it. If you paid your student loan, kudos to you. You want a cookie? And to be honest, I feel like most of y'all that paid y'all student loans, use y'all social media money. Y'all not taking no money out y'all worksheet to pay these doggone loans back. The interest on these loans ain't nothing but probably 7% or less. I'll pay my credit card out before I pay a doggone student loan. It'll get paid when it get paid. They in the firm, I think I'm good. But y'all too serious in the comments. Like, I don't even turn my comments off. I don't want to turn these off because y'all really doing too much. And they talking about you people. Who is you people? You been the R word now? I don't like them type of people. If you are, please get out of my page. Block me. Scroll back. You ain't got to comment. Then they talking about you ain't take an English class. Baby, I'm in the South. This how I talk. I know how to talk. I don't try to come on here talking proper. But I just kind of speak my piece. I'm eating my hot wings. They good as hell.
I'm in my second year of medical school, and this is my current student debt, $191,000, and it literally goes up by hundreds every single day. And I currently have $8 in my bank account. It's like about $100,000 a year. And I think just right now in my mind, it's not real money, because if I think of it that way, then I'm just gonna freak out every single day. So I honestly try not to think about it as much as I can and just trust that I'll be able to pay it off one day. I also know there are a lot of like programs that you can enroll in now to try to help alleviate that debt, but I just think it's outrageous how we're paying them to do service jobs that so little people want to do. And this is the reason why they don't want to do them. Because like you get into your career and then you have $500,000 of debt. Mind you, I'm going to accrue more than $200,000 by the end of this. It's like I'm paying to give up so many years of my life to work for free, to help other people who need it, to go to underserved areas. Like I'm paying you to do that. If anything, there should just be no payment at all. But I'm like just trying not to stress about it, because if I think about it, then I'm just gonna freak out, so.
Okay, this is not my usual content, but I felt the need to come on here and be transparent about something that a lot of people deal with, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about, which is student loan debt. My student loans are one of the biggest parts of my life and one of the biggest payments and financial burdens in my life every single day. For context, I always wanted to move to New York. It was one of my biggest dreams, but also financially not possible for my family to move me here or for me to get here on my own without getting into a school in New York. So my goal was also to go to art school for fine arts, so I ended up getting into Parsons and SVA in Manhattan, which are two incredible art schools. Upon graduating high school, I hadn't really been informed about what it really means to take out student loans and how much it can affect your life down the line. So I was like, okay, if this is going to get me to New York and this is going to get me to go into this amazing school, I'll take out a big ass loan and it will help fund my life, because I unfortunately did not have the luxury of having my family be able to help me financially when I moved to New York. So this was my only way to get to where I wanted to be. My first year of school at SVA was during COVID, so all of it was over Zoom. That means that I was a drawing and painting major, basically over FaceTime. So I was doing all physical art from my apartment. My tiny ass 700 square foot apartment in the East Village was wall to wall with paintings, and it was basically my own personal classroom. I also was paying $50,000 to do classes over Zoom, which as a very young adult, I wasn't really understanding the severity of that choice and also how much it was going to affect my life, which I think happens to a lot of teenagers and young adults when going into college. I ended up staying at SVA until the next year, so I was there for about 2 years total before I realized that the financial burden that this was going to put on my life if I finished school there was going to be astronomical, because it already was 2 years in. Meaning that after 1 year of art school on Zoom and 1 year in classrooms, I am over $80,000 in debt. Yes, you heard that correctly, $80,000. And this was for tuition, housing, and everything in between, because I wasn't working at the time. I was a student. I had just moved to New York and I didn't have any financial help. Also, I had a co-signer on the loan, so I have to pay the payments on time every month, or else this person's credit gets affected heavily. So basically, since I dropped out of school, I have been working my butt off, doing every job imaginable. Thankfully now I have a job in marketing with a lot of clients where I'm able to somehow pay off the payments monthly, and I was able to get put in a hardship program, which means that my payments were lowered monthly so that I could afford to pay them, because before I was having to pay almost $2,000 a month and was literally unable to do it. Also, my loans are through a privatized company, which is extremely predatory, and it's very different than having a federal loan. There's no forgiveness for it, so you have to pay it basically, or else your credit gets fucked. So basically, I just live with this looming crazy debt over my head, and I know a million people do too. I'm not the only person with this problem. A lot of people have more debt, but I just think that it's important to be transparent about, because not everyone's family can help them with their college tuition. It's a huge blessing to be able to go to college and have it paid for or paid off, and a lot of people don't have that. So if you have debt, it is very normal. Also, at this point, it doesn't eat away at me, because I'm just like, it's another payment. I'm gonna have to do it, and it motivates me to work harder so that it doesn't always feel like this huge burden on my life. But yeah, I just think it's very important to talk about, and I think it's important to normalize things that people have to do and decisions you have to make your dreams come true. And obviously, if I could go back and talk to 19-year-old, 18-year-old me and be like, girl, this is a bad decision, I would, but I can't, and this is my life, and I just want you to know, if you have a ton of debt, it's normal, and so do I.
Can you guess what the most regretted college majors are? According to a report by the Federal Reserve based on the 2023 survey of household economics and decision making of more than 11,000 participants, 35% of respondents said they'd pick another major if they could do it all over again. Statistically, the least regretted majors were engineering, computer and information sciences, and health. The most regretted majors? All my fellow non-STEM degree holders prepare to be offended. 44% of graduates regretted their social and behavioral sciences degrees, 43% regretted their humanities and arts degrees, and life sciences degrees were also regretted by 43% of degree holders. If you want to get even more specific, a separate 2022 survey by ZipRecruiter found that the top 5 majors regretted most were journalism, sociology, liberal arts, general studies, communication, and education, in that order. And while I'd argue that the world needs journalists and teachers, one explanation for people's regret could be that there seems to be a link between high pay and high job satisfaction. Americans owe nearly $1.8 trillion in student loan debt, but according to the original report, over half of adults who attended college feel that the benefits outweigh the costs.
College tip 493. If you're taking out unsubsidized student loans, these are loans that begin to accumulate interest the moment it hits your bank account. Do your best to start paying that interest while you're in college. This will prevent that interest from accumulating and becoming an even bigger burden once you graduate.
Someone explained to me why almost everyone with a lot of student debt acts like someone forced them with a gun to their head to sign the dotted line and take that loan. I sat in the same lectures in high school that all you people did. All the ones where they told us if you don't get a degree that you're not going to be successful, and if you don't get a degree, you're never going to make a lot of money. So why should you get a get out of jail free card just because you didn't do the simple math required to find out that most degrees are not worth the investment? You know what I did? I asked my parents, hey, are you willing to pay for college? And they said, no. And then I went to the state and I said, hey, can I get financial aid for college? And guess what they said? No. And my only 2 remaining options were either get a loan or pay for it out of pocket or don't go entirely. And then when I looked at how much interest rates are on student loans and how much I'd be missing out on by not investing that money myself, I went, no, thank you. I was able to do that cost benefit analysis on my own. So why should everyone else who decided that it wasn't a bad idea, why should they have their debt canceled or forgiven? What do people like me get who did go to college but paid for it out of pocket all by myself? I worked several jobs at the same time as going to school full time to get my degree. What do I get for being financially responsible, right? If they're going to cancel your debt, what do I get?
Hi, my name is Trebelia Rodriguez. I'm 28 years old. I'm a certified anesthesiologist assistant. And here are some tips and tricks I did to pay off my student loans of $130,000 within a year and a half. So I suggest, 1, you set a budget and a goal number that you want to hit each month with paying off your student loans, and make it like a game. Another tip that I did is living with roommates. It is a sacrifice, but I think it's worth it. Even if it's just for 1 year, it can really put you ahead. That's what I did, and I would do it again every time. Another thing that I did was I used credit cards. I'm still a person. I wanted to have a lot of fun while paying off my student loans. So I used credit cards for cash back and to help me in terms of paying for travel as I was paying down my student loan. Another thing I did was have a friend that was also in the same situation, and we kept each other accountable. And if my friend was working a lot and putting a lot of money towards his loans, I felt like I could do the same, and we kind of kept each other accountable and pushed each other to pay off our student loans.
This student loan situation is bananas, and I feel for you as somebody who once had $280,000 of student loans. I know the stress that you're facing. There's over 5 million of you out there that are facing, the default and the delinquency, and you're seeing your credit score dip. And now, yeah, it's time to pay the piper. Now they're telling us we've got to pay. We don't want these numbers floating over our heads, causing us to lose sleep at night. Now is the time to make a plan once and for all. We're getting on a budget. We're getting that side hustle. We're getting our core income up. And we're truly, guys, this time, let's do what it takes to pay these debts off. Because I know what it feels like to be in the thick of it, but I also know what it feels like to be on the other side of it and it's gone. Like they're over with. So let's make that the goal this time, not just making minimum payments. Let's get out there and change our life. For my husband and I, we had so many different side hustles. It took us a couple of years to build up our career to be able to do it. Just the student loan portion of our debt took us about 4 years to pay off. The rest of it, you guys know the story. All 460 of it took 7 years. But that's what I'm saying. This is going to be a timeline, but it is a journey worth taking, because in 5 years, where do you want to be? Think about this has been a 5-year process. So in 5 years from now, where do you want to be? Still dealing with this mess, or finally have it done, have those loans paid off free and clear? I'd pick the latter option.
What are the best student loans to pay for college? So this is one of the most common questions I'm seeing right now, because a lot of families are finally accepting their offers. They're looking at their financial aid awards and they're wondering, how do I pay for this? And they know that student loans are going to be part of the equation. So if you are all about not paying for college with student loans, fantastic. You can skip ahead. But for over 60% of families, student loans are going to be part of the equation, and you need to understand the best options. So the number one best student loan option is the federal direct student loan that your child is offered on their financial aid award package. And this is the federal loan that's offered by the government. And you have two different versions. You got the subsidized, the unsubsidized. The problem is the maximum award for these combined is going to be $5,500 for your first year of college. Then it's $6,500, and then it's $7,500 for the third year and beyond. The reason these are the best student loans is, one, they have decent interest rates, and these will probably go down for the fall. Part two is that federal student loans offer loan forgiveness options. We talk a lot about loan forgiveness, but you can qualify for things like public service loan forgiveness, teacher loan forgiveness, and more. Number three is that they have hardship and deferment options that you do not get with private student loans. Just think of the COVID pause. Like, who would have thought that student loans would have been paused for 4 years? Number four is that they have income-driven repayment plan options. So your monthly student loan payment will be based on your income, and those income-driven repayment plan options all include loan forgiveness. So that is the best loan. You might save a little bit going elsewhere, but you don't get any of those benefits. The second best loan, the option beyond the direct loans the student offer, is it's kind of a tie, and it depends. And we talked about this in a couple of videos back. You have to decide between a federal Parent Plus loan or a private student loan. And the reason that Parent Plus loans are a little iffy is they have a very high interest rate there. 9%, it's probably going to be about 8.5%. They also only offer one income-driven repayment plan, and that is ICR. That is the highest monthly payment student loan income-driven plan that is available, so it might not work for a lot of families. It does offer a backdoor way to get public service loan forgiveness, but it does take 10 years, and not a lot of parents make it that long working, so it doesn't always get the forgiveness that you think it might. With that being said, you have private student loans. Private student loans require a cosigner for 95% of undergraduate students. The rates can be pretty low if the parents have good income and good credit, but they're private. There's no forgiveness options. There's no hardship programs. Like, it acts like a car loan. So That is how you want to think about getting student loans to pay for college. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions about that. You can read this full link in bio.